Heading into Valentine's Day weekend, Minnesota has seen its case positivity rate decline slightly, with the state expecting to see a slight increase in vaccine doses next week. Minnesota's case positivity rate stands at just below 4%, the lowest since the end of June. Meanwhile, we're learning more about the state's COVID-19 testing at schools. Minnesota was the first in the nation to offer in-school saliva testing to teachers and staff just over a month ago. Data released Friday show transmission rates to be below 1%, 0.37% to be exact. A good sign that teachers and students can remain safely in schools. Each school that participates tests staff every 2 weeks. All elementary schools in the northwest suburbs have resumed in-person learning, with most districts transitioning to hybrid learning for middle and high school students. Meanwhile, Governor Tim Walz announced on Friday a slight dial back of COVID-19 business restrictions. Perhaps the biggest change impacts bars and restaurants, which can remain open until 11 p.m. The change takes effect Saturday. Bars, restaurants, fitness centers, and entertainment venues must still maintain the same capacity percentage limits as before, with maximum capacity at these venues raised by 100 people if space permits. It's news Golden Valley residents have been waiting to hear. The Golden Valley Library will reopen next month.
We were offering service at over 30 libraries throughout the second half of 2020. Now into 2021, we're in a space where we can open up the rest of our library system. 6 libraries, including Golden Valley, will open for grab-and-go service here starting in early March. Golden Valley will open on March 2nd.
The Golden Valley location had been closed since last spring. The Golden Valley Library will be open on Tuesdays from noon until 8 and on Wednesday through Saturday from 9 to 5. Osseo Library patrons, however, are going to have to wait a bit longer for that location to reopen. Due to that library's small size, management didn't feel it could safely accommodate both staff and patrons.
Osseo in particular is a bit different for us. It's such a small library, we don't feel we're able to safely accommodate both staff and patrons. So Osseo is going to continue to be closed to the public, but we will be offering a return service.
Many couples won't be celebrating Valentine's Day the way they usually do this year. Not only has the pandemic increased economic hardships, but one psychologist tells us it's increased tension among couples too. She also tells reporter Pafua Yang that's all the more reason to celebrate Valentine's Day this year.
They say spending more time together can either make or break your relationship. So it's no surprise that there's been an increased strain between some couples during COVID-19.
Because we are home so much together, there's so many more interactions.
Dr. Sarah Paper, a clinical psychologist with Edina Health, says you shouldn't ignore Valentine's Day even if your relationship is going downhill.
You know, Valentine's Day might feel kind of cheesy or silly for some people, but it can be a reminder that this is a really important relationship and this is a really important time, even though it's difficult, to really focus on taking care of each other and taking care of ourselves.
The doctor says a romantic getaway during Valentine's Day doesn't have to be outside the home.
To then have a dinner together, whether it's order in and then find even a different spot, eating at a spot other than the table that you always eat at. It might sound silly, but having a picnic in the living room.
What do you say to the couples who might have unspoken expectations of Valentine's Day? I know that, that can be a source of conflict sometimes.
Yeah. I would say to speak those unspoken expectations. The only way that people are going to know what you want is to say what you want.
And if you're spending Valentine's Day alone, Paper says, take care of yourself and don't wait on anyone else.
And then when you are happy and confident, a lot of times that does attract people. They see that and they want to join in and be happy with you.
Pafua Yang, CCX News.
And if you need some love advice, look no further than some local lifelong Valentines. Joe and Gwen Ladner from Plymouth say the comfort of a long relationship is a beautiful thing. And the secret to that relationship?
One of the things that really attracted me to her was the communication. We could talk. Not too many people you can feel real comfortable with talking with. I really enjoyed that.
Joe and Gwen met for the first time in 1959 on a double date. But during that date, they both thought they were there with the wrong person. Instead, they should be dating each other. That was that, and then they married in 1962. They have 3 daughters and 8 grandchildren. Their love story is one of several that Trillium Woods is highlighting on their in-house channel this year for Valentine's Day.
Well, I think it's a great way to engage with each other and again, learn more about where everyone's come from, where everyone's been, and how all the love stories are different, but they're so fun to learn about how people met and how long they've been married and what they've been able to enjoy over the years.
A local theater is celebrating the season of love. Here's Neil Persley with today's Weekend Showcase.
You really shouldn't have done it. You hadn't done it right.
Yellow Tree Theater in Osseo still isn't producing any live productions, but that doesn't mean they haven't been busy.
Well, the Season of Love is a 1-hour variety show, an online entertainment celebrating love and romance, and we're doing it obviously in honor of Valentine's Day.
The segments were recorded by Twin Cities performers and musicians, then sent to Craig to be edited together into an hour-long show.
Classic songs by Irving Berlin and George Gershwin, along with some familiar and some unfamiliar short little love poems, a classic story by O. Henry that I think people will enjoy, and a number of different little anecdotes and jokes that celebrate all the different varieties of love.
Both sentimental and comical, the show could make for a great stay-at-home date night.
Theater people, like all performing artists, are of course creatives, so that's what we're trying to do, is be creative and use the technology that we have and try to bring people together.
Turn out the light and hold me close.
You can purchase access to the show for $10 on the Yellow Tree Theater website. The performance is available from now through the end of the month. For Weekend Showcase, Neil Persley, CCX News.
The Wayzata and Edina boys hockey teams sometimes play 4 times in one season, starting with the CCX Turkey Trot Tournament in November. That tourney didn't happen this season, and so February 11th marked the date of the team's first meeting this year. Jason Malillo has the highlights.
Boys hockey 10th-ranked Wayzata travels to Edina for a late conference tilt. First period, Jake Schneider checks the Edina player off the puck and scores a shorthanded goal, 2-0 Trojans. The Hornets rally. Early in the second, Johnny DeVoe muscles in the rebound goal. Then Edina super sophomore Jimmy Clark threads the pass to Willie Johnson and he scores, and it's 2-2. But Schneider strikes again, whistling a shot top corner from the tough angle, and Wayzata back on top 3-2. Third period, John Matson controls the puck with his skates and lasers a shot and goal for a 4-2 Trojans lead. Edina gets one more, but Wayzata holds on for a 4-3 win. Jason Malillo, CCX Sports.
Maple Grove boys basketball at home to tip off with Armstrong in Northwest Suburban Conference play. The Falcons' Devin Jones with a behind-the-back dribble gets himself in the lane and hits a tough shot. Armstrong leads 12-6. Later, it's Deshaun Larkins draining a three-pointer. Larkins nets 15 points in the game. And Coach John Bryant and the Falcons lead by 9 at halftime. Maple Grove rallies in the second half. Terrence Anthony Larmoth goes hard into the paint, scores the basket, and draws a foul. He's one of 3 Crimson players to score in double figures. Great passing here. Jatai Dillard to Morgan Moore, who spots Caden Betcher for the layup. 24 points in the game for Betcher, and Maple Grove leads. Final seconds now. Armstrong down 3. Jamez Garner dribbles the length of the court for the Falcons and then finds Owen Scram in the corner. Scram drains a buzzer-beating three-pointer, tying the game at 55 and sending it to overtime. After trailing by 4 early in OT, Maple Grove comes back. John Hawkinson to Larmoth, whose three-pointer gives Maple Grove the lead for good. The Crimson go on to beat the Falcons 66-62. Early last week, the Minnesota State High School League released information about winter sports state tournaments. Jay Wilcox has more on a local school that will be home to one of those events.
As we battle through the COVID-19 pandemic, plans are in place for winter sports state competitions. But they'll play out in much different ways, and in some cases, different venues. Champlin Park High School will be the site for the state gymnastics meet.
You know, 3 years in a row, Cheney New was a state champion coming out of Champlin Park. And, then with her injury here 2 years ago and not being able to compete as a senior, maybe they were looking at having us be the host and being able to talk about what could have been a 5-peat. And we have a great facility here at Champlin Park, and the district and our school are obviously wanting to showcase that event for the state.
Champlin Park has hosted the Section 5 AA gymnastics meet many times in recent years, and the school also hosted state-adapted softball for a time. So they have some experience with big events.
Yeah, I think those relationships that we've established with the high school league and knowing some of the directors, it was nice working with Amy Doherty from the high school league, as she has, past experiences working with John Wynia, our head coach, and she knows our building, our facility. And then again, like you said, the adapted state meets being here in the past and in our district, it definitely plays into those relationships that have been built over the years.
Pre-pandemic, hosting a lot of fans for a tournament or meet can be a financial windfall, especially with concession sales. That won't really be the case this year, though.
At this time, we're still told no concessions, so we're definitely not going to be making any money off of that. But we will be able to showcase great athletes doing wonderful things on the gymnastics apparatuses. The only discussions we've had is still following the guidelines with 2 spectators per student athlete competing, not to exceed 150.
Things will look different for state meets and tournaments, but athletes and coaches are just happy to get the chance to compete for championships. Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.
Find more prep sports games and highlights at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.